Hi, Nick Melita, and this is my channel, The Midnight Librarian. Today I will be talking about my May TBR. So for May, I'm going to be doing the May the Force Read With You Readathon. This is a Star Wars based readathon hosted by Breakeven Books. I will have their YouTube and their announcement video down in the description down below if you want to check them out. I do highly suggest you do so because they explain this a whole lot better than I do. Basically, there are two sides, a light side, the Jedi side, as well as the dark side, the Sith side, and each side has its own prompts. There's also like a neutral side that's more like to offer prompts between the two if you want to ever switch any of them out. Technically, I think there's only like a need to read 5 prompts to be able to get the highest title of like Sith or Jedi Master or Lord or something. Ultimately, I've picked 7. I am going for the light side to be a Jedi, and I swear this is like the 3rd year I've been doing this readathon, and it gets more and more interesting every year. So this time around we get to choose the species we are, as well as choose the weapon we have, the alliances we have, etc. So it's going to be really fun, I think. And it's going to be along the same vein of my April TBR, in which I will still be doing my Pokemon Chooses My TBR. So if you're new here, hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. My apologies for this really contrasty lighting going on right now. But what I have Pokemon cards Choose My TBR for almost a year now. I've gotten these booster packs, and basically every Pokemon type has its own prompt, and that's what I choose my books off of. So I'm going to try to do what I did last month and kind of combine them. Much like the Magical Readathon, the May the Force Read With You Readathon doesn't allow double up on prompts. So, and then of course there's also the Magical Readathon year adventure to keep in mind as well. I believe the prompts for this month is either to read a book with an odd number of pages or a book with an even number of pages. So either way, I think I'd be okay. But that will determine what my prompts I get to choose from are for June. Let's go ahead and get started. So this is a trainer card, Dinging Gloves. Trainer cards are mood reads, so I'm going to put this aside for right now because I do have a couple of books I would like to get on my TBR, and until I get through more of this, I want to save this. So also a trainer card, this is treasure. Oh. Wait, what? This is a trainer card, but it's also an energy card. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna utilize it as a trainer card because that's what it looks like. Usually energy cards take up the whole card. So that's what I'm gonna do. Still figuring this out. Next. Okay, this is Fletchinder, which is the evolved form of Fletchling. It's a normal Pokemon, so for this, it's to read a contemporary. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure, so this will fit in perfectly. This is to read for my species, the Twi'lek, which look like this. And that's to read a romance or a duology, and for that, I'm going to pick, and I believe this is a romance. I'm hoping it is. I don't think I've actually looked to see if it is or not, but I think that's the ultimate like consensus, is that this is a second chance romance, and that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I have read a couple of books by Emily Henry, and I loved Book Lovers. I hated Beach Read, so we'll see how I enjoy this. Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobsters and rolls, except now, for reasons they're still not discussing, they don't. They broke up 5 months ago and still haven't told their best friend, which is how they find themselves sharing a bedroom at the main cottage that has been their friend group's yearly getaway for the last decade. Their annual respite from the world, where one vibrant, blissful week they leave behind their daily lives and have copious amounts of cheese and wine and seafood, and soak up the salty coastal air with the people who understand them most. So this is their last chance to do this, and they don't want to ruin it. They have to pretend to still be the perfect couple with their best friends, because this is the last time they can do this, because the people who own the cottage are selling it. So this will be interesting. I am wondering if I'm going to enjoy this or not, and I'm trying not to go in with the whole like I'm not going to enjoy this, because I can already see the whole in which they haven't discussed yet makes me think there is some major communication issues, which I don't tend to like in romances, because it just bugs the hell out of me. So we'll see how I enjoy this. This is an energy card. This is the fighting energy card, and it's to read a book with this color on the cover. So, okay. So so this actually works perfectly. I have not hauled this book yet, but it'll work for this fighting energy card, as well as Plant Surge, which is to read a book with a plant on the cover, and that is God Killer by Hannah Kaner. So this, I mean, it kind of works. It's kind of a darker orange than what this has, but I mean, it's a gorgeous cover. I love it. Like I said, I have yet to haul this actually on my channel yet. You're not welcome here, God Killer. Kissen's family were killed by zealots of a fire god. Now she makes a living killing gods and enjoys it. That is until she finds a god she cannot kill. Sketty, a god of white lies, has somehow bound himself to a young noble, and they are both on the run from unknown assassins. Joined by a disillusioned knight on a secret quest, they must travel to the ruined city of Readathon, where the last of the wild gods reside, to each beg a favor. Pursued by demons and in the midst of burgeoning civil war, they will all face a reckoning. Something is rotting at the heart of the kingdom, and only they can be the ones to stop it. So yeah, I was very intrigued just by this cover alone. It's absolutely freaking gorgeous. So yeah, that's what I'm choosing for this. Well, that's fun. This is Volcarona, which is a fire Pokemon, and this is a full, like, holographic. This is a V holographic. So that's exciting. I have an idea for this. So I don't think it'll fit for anything that, okay, so I think this will fit for that. Okay. So one of the prompts, okay, so a fire Pokemon is to read a book that everyone is talking about. And then I'm also going to, it's going to fit for Lightsaber, which is to read a book that is the opposite color of your favorite color. My favorite color is like a slate blue, which is an orange, is typically like the opposite of blue on the color wheel. So for holographics in particular is to read an anticipated book. So in this case, I'm going to take it as an anticipated new release, and that is going to be Warrior Girl on Earth by Angeline Booley. So I've been seeing this a lot on my Instagram, but particularly within the book reviewers, Indigenous book reviewers group that I'm a part of. So I'm going to take that as everyone's talking about. I'm really excited about this. I loved Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley, so I'm really excited to get to this one. Firekeeper Birch was ready for her summer of slack, but instead, after a fender bender that was entirely not her fault, she's stuck working to pay back her Auntie Donis for repairs to the Jeep. Thankfully, she has the other outcasts of the summer program, Team Misfit Toys, and even her twin sister Pauline. Together, they ace obstacle courses, plan visuals for missing women in the community, and make sure Summer doesn't feel so lost after all. But when she attends a meeting at the local university, Perry learns about the Warrior Girl, an ancestor whose bones and knife are stored in the museum archives. And everything changes. Perry has to return Warrior Girl to her tribe. Determined to help, she learns all she can about Nagpra, the federal law that allows tribes to request the return of ancestral remains and sacred items. The university has been using legal loopholes to hold on to Warrior Girl and 12 other Anishinaabe ancestors' remains. And Perry and the Misfits won't let it go any longer. So I'm really excited about this, so I think this is perfect for this. So yeah. Alright, so this is a Mareep. This is a reverse holo Mareep. So Mareep is a lightning Pokemon, which is to read a quick read, whatever that means to me. And reverse holo is to read a backlist. I think what I'm actually going to choose for this is not going to fit on the Star Wars prompt, but I've been wanting to read this for a little bit. And that is Black Butler. Oh, this is volume 2. Damn it. Never mind. Sorry. Volume 1. Yeah, this is Black Butler. This is a manga. I've already watched the anime all the way through a couple years ago. I've absolutely loved it, and I've been wanting to read the manga for it. Just a stone's throw from London lies the manor house of the illustrious Phantom Hive Earldom and its master, one Seal Phantom Hive. Earl Phantom Hive is a giant in the world of commerce, Queen Victoria's faithful servant, and a slip of a 12-year-old boy. Fortunately, his loyal butler, Sebastian, is ever at his side, ready to carry out the young master's wishes. And whether Sebastian is called to save a dinner party gone awry or probe the dark secrets of London's underbelly, there apparently is nothing Sebastian cannot do. In fact, one might even say Sebastian is too good to be true, or at least too good to be human. So, I absolutely love the anime, so I'm hoping I can read this next. This is Blue Bat, which is a psychic, which is to read a thriller. And for that, this will also work for the prompt of Resistance, a book that's mostly one color. This cover is mostly black with a gold spoon and a little bit of blood, and that is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. Jessa Maxwell. I think this is more like what I've heard is like a cozy thriller, if that makes any sense. Only murderers in the building. Every summer for the past 10 years, 6 awestruck bakers have descended on the grounds of Grafton, the leafy and imposing Vermont estate that is not only the filming site of the 4 Bake Week, but also the childhood home of the show's famous host, celebrated baker Betsy Martin. The author of numerous best-selling cookbooks and hailed as America's grandmother, Betsy Martin isn't as warm off-screen as on it, though no one needs to know that but her. She has always demanded perfection and gotten it with a smile, but this year something is off. As the baking competition commences, things begin to go awry. At first, it's merely sabotage, sugar replaced with salt, a burner turned too high, but when a body is discovered, everyone is a suspect. Yeah, this calls it a suspenseful thriller, but I've heard reviewers say this is more of like a cozy thriller, and I've been interested in it. I used to be a big fan of The Great British Bake Off. I'm not so much a fan anymore with its stereotyping. I think Japanese Week and Mexican Week were both terrible. I've also just haven't been a big fan since Mary Berry left the show, so I don't know, this one has me intrigued, so yeah. This is Emolga, which is an electric Pokemon, which is to read a quick read, whatever that means to me. I think this will be quick, but I'm not quite sure. It's under 275 pages, so that'll work for Forest Valor, and then I'm also really just wanting to get to it, so I'm also going to put a third prompt on it, which was the magical adventure for the year, which is and it's going to be to read a book with an even number of pages. And I did have this on my April TBR, but wasn't able to get to it, so I'm really determined to get to it this month. And that is The Keeper 6 by Kate Elliott. Yeah, it's 196 pages, so it works great for those 2 prompts, and because it's so short, I'm thinking it's going to be a quick read. It's been a year since Esther set foot in the Beyond, the alien landscape stretching between worlds, crossing boundaries of space and time. She and her magical traveling party, her Hex, haven't spoken since the Concilium banned them from the Beyond for a decade. But when she wakes in the middle of the night to her grown son's cry for help, the members of her Hex are the only ones she can trust to help her bring him back from wherever he has been taken. Esther will risk everything to find him. Undercover and hidden from the Concilium, she and her Hex will be tested by false dragon lords, a darkness so dense it can suffocate, and the bones of an old crime come back to haunt her. there are terrors that dwell in the space between worlds. So yeah, I really want to get to this. Was not able to in April, so yeah, determined for May. Next. This is Lotad, which is a water Pokemon, which is to read a book that is set in or around water, or has water on the cover. And for that, this is also going to work for the prompt of Sever Forest, which is to read a nonfiction. This is also a book that was on a TBR that I wasn't able to get to, and I'm hoping to get to it this time around, and that is Coast Range, a collection of from the Pacific Edge by Nick Neely. I got this while I was up in Oregon in February, which it seemed very appropriate. Had it for on my TBR for March. Wasn't able to get to it. I was in a bit of a nonfiction slump there, but after listening to some webinars, I'm very interested in them again. So this one, Coast, the edge of land, or conversely the edge of sea. Range, a measure between limits or the scope of territory of a thing. Coast Range, the debut collection of essays from writer Nick Neely, meticulously and thoughtfully dwells on the intersections and much more. The book's title refers to the region in which these essays are set, the California and Oregon coastal ranges. In deeply moving prose, equal parts exhilarating and pensive, each essay explores an iconic organism, a few geologic, so that on the whole the collection becomes a curiosity cabinet that freshly embodies the Pacific Northwest landscape. So, yeah. Next. This is Rufflet, which is a normal type Pokemon, which is to read a contemporary. And I think I'm gonna go ahead. This is another one that's not gonna fit on. No, this one's not gonna work for May the Force read with you at all, but I did get this advanced reader's copy from the publisher, so thank you so much to them. I believe it was Ohio Press, or who was it? It was Ohio State University. They asked before if I was interested for a honest review, and I said yes. So for Rufflet, I'm going to go ahead and choose Birding While Indian, a mixed blood memoir by Thomas C. Gannon. This is a really cool cover, in all honesty. Thomas C. Gannon's Birding While Indian spans more than 50 years of childhood walks and more than 50 years of childhood walks and adult road trips to deliver. Via a compendium of birds recorded and revered, the author's life as a part Lakota inhabitant of the Great Plains, great horned owl, sandhill crane, Dixicil. Such species form a kind of rosary, a corrective to the rosaries that evoke Gannon's traumatic time in an Indian boarding school in South Dakota, his mother's tears when a coworker called her squaw, and the violent erasure colonialism demanded of indigenous humans, animals, and land of the United States. Burning has always been Gannon's escape and solace. He later found similar solace in literature, particularly by Native authors. He draws on both throughout this expansive, hilarious, and humane memoir, and an acerbic observer of birds, the aftershocks of history and of human nature. Gannon navigates his obsession with the ostensibly objective evocation of burning in his own mixed blood subjectivity, searching for the elusive snowy owl and his own identity. The result is a rich reflection not only on a man's life but on the transformative power of building a deeper relationship with the natural world. I think this is very relevant. This is planned for me right now, particularly because I mentioned the webinars that I've been reading. It's had a similar, it was our decolonizing sustainability speaker series that our Native American Studies program puts on. So I think this is very appropriate for me right now, just because that's the kind of mood I'm in. This is scheduled to come out June 27th of 2023. So I'm happy to read it. And I put even though it's a memoir, I'm still putting the contemporary with it, because a lot of the issues that I'm sure that Thomas C. Gannon is going to talk about is problems that a lot of Native Americans and Indigenous peoples face today. So, okay, so aside from my mood reads, this is my last one. is Punkaboo, which is a psychic, so it's to read another thriller. And I think for that, I'm gonna read another nonfiction because I'm gonna really test to see if my slump is over. But that is Sleeping with the Lights On. No, I lie. Nope. This is perfect because I'm needing this to fill my last prompt for the May the Force Read With You Readathon, and that is Transfer Force, which is to read a borrowed book. This book I got from Interlibrary Loan from Oregon State University, and that is Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I have read 2 books now by Grady Hendrix, and I'm still trying to figure out if his writing I like. I gave How to Sell a Haunted House 5 stars, but book clubs led to saying vampires. I don't think I've rated because it made me feel icky overall, but like I got rid of it. So I'm interested to see how I enjoy this one. So this is what I'm choosing. Okay, so then I have 2 mood reads, and for Digging Gloves, I'm going to go ahead and choose the next book in the TBR series, which is Black Powder War. I'm not going to go over the synopsis of the 3rd book just because I don't want to give you any spoilers, but ultimately, if you have not heard of the TBR series, it is a historical fantasy. We're following Captain William Lawrence as he is a captain in the Navy and ends up capturing a French frigate. This is during the Napoleonic War. With dragons. So he ends up capturing a French frigate. It has a dragon egg on it, and the dragon hatches and chooses him to be his captain. So Captain Lawrence is no longer a captain in the Navy. He is a captain in the Royal Air Force, which has its complications. So in the 1st book, we kind of see what that means for William Lawrence and his dragon, and what ultimately they have to do. And then in the 2nd book, we kind of learn a bit more about the cultural differences and how different countries treat their dragons. Don't know what this 3rd book is about. I don't really want to know. Hence another reason why I'm not telling you the synopsis of the 3rd book. But that's what I'm choosing for Digging Gloves. And then I think for this one, I will pick a book that does have some of the color elements within it, as it's a treasure energy. Trainer card, energy card, but that is but that's what I'm hoping to read for this one. So, alright, so there are some of the books. I still need Warrior Girl on Earth. I have it pre-ordered as a physical copy, so I'm hoping that's not too many physical books, but I think a couple of them are sure enough that I'm not too worried about it. But I'm feeling really good about this TBR. So if you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts down in the description down below. If you're participating in the May the Force Read With You Readathon, let me know. I'm just curious. Yeah. So otherwise, if you made it this far, be sure to like this video, subscribe if you have yet to do so. And I hope that you're in the mental mindset to enjoy your reading. I will see you in another video very soon. Cheers.